This is my screencast for Module 1. My topic is digital literacy. I found an article from edsurge.com profiling a school in California that is half immigrant. It is not an elite or wealthy school district, and yet they've been able to incorporate blended learning in a really accessible and meaningful way for students. I took notes using a web tool called Digo, which is an annotation tool that allows me to highlight, and you can also see that I'm able to take some notes on this page. And the nice thing about Digo is that it will bookmark this page automatically for me and save it in my library. So it's a really useful tool for students when they're doing research, because it will put all of their research into one place. And if they use a website, say, where they continually rotate pages out and articles down, it sort of saves it here. So if I ever need to find an article and I cannot find it where it was originally, I can check my library and there's an archived version of this article there, done automatically. It's Diigo. It's totally free. I've used it this year with my students in their research papers. So one of the more interesting things I found in this particular article is that it's an elementary school where they are really doing blended learning in a unique way. I think it will be different than the way that our school will implement it, mostly because they're using Chromebooks. Across the district, you can see here they've used 35 Chromebooks rolled out across the district. So students are not getting that one-to-one experience the way that our students will, but they're giving students an hour a day at least. It is reducing class sizes for teachers, and it is providing every student an opportunity to use computers in a very meaningful way. Diane, I know that the focus of your research for Module 1 focused on formative assessment. And one of the programs that the school is using is called iReady software, which is it's this technology for assessment in math and reading. It's very much aligned with the Common Core state standards. Here, let me click on. There's some animated video instructions. Its implementation is focused on the Common Core through grade 8, so it wouldn't be very useful for us, but the fact that there's this technology coming out that is very focused on formative assessment, I think JT is going to be very ready when the Common Core starts really focusing on these tech standards, especially since there are programs like this that exist. When we get these students that are in kindergarten, first, second grade now, by the time they get to us, and after everyone in the area has been implementing these digital standards, I think we're going to see a really big difference in the way that we teach and the way that our students learn, and also how much they're learning and how effective we're doing our jobs in the class. But back to the article about Milpitas in California, one of the things that was really interesting to me, and I think something that we're also modeling, is that each teacher is sort of allowed their own influence and how they want to manage class time and the way students are grouped. I think this is going to be really important for us and for our teachers to embrace this, so that it doesn't become just another initiative, so that it's not something where people are working hours on it, putting it in a binder, and then putting it on a shelf, which was something one of the teachers interviewed in this article said. Another thing that really stood out to me that I think Joliet West is already doing is sort of providing labs that are more sort of like a coffee shop. You can see the image here. At Joliet West right now, I know Amy Lingefelter is sort of remodeling, not necessarily remodeling, but adding different furniture and making it easier for students with their own devices to come to the library to be able to work. And I think for me, when I have my class next year or whenever it happens, I will definitely hold office hours, once or twice a week in the library, because I think it's really important for students to work in environments that are different, so that ideas never get stale. I think that's one of the most things I'm most excited about with blended learning is that routine is going to be very different than it is in a traditional classroom where students come into the classroom, 20 school days in a row and don't really get anything different. They sort of fall into habit, which is a good and a bad thing. So I'm really excited about being able to move around the school and teach in different sorts of environments where I can, help students where they're most capable of working. Which brings me to this next point that one of the teachers at the school district says, and that's, when you give kids freedom, they just go for it. I totally believe that. I'm excited to see what our students will be able to do when they're provided an opportunity to work at their own pace, when they're provided an opportunity to submit work that is very meaningful to them, when they have an authentic audience with every single assignment that they do. I think raising the bar is going to give us results that will make our students more ready for life after high school, and will also make the high school experience much more fulfilling for them. Another thing that I think I'll try and replicate is this idea of blogging, maybe not necessarily a blog, but getting them involved in some sort of digital discussion every week, similar to what we're doing in class. And I think the most telling stat comes at the end of the article here. When staff were interviewed about this, 80% of them said they wanted to continue a direction that focused on this individual learning and this teacher driven creation, because students weren't bored any longer. And I think that's the most teachers' goal, is to have students that are engaged and willing to continue the education at their own pace.